Good morning, Illini. I'm your host, Matt Schrock for Healthy Illini Podcast. We're glad you're with us today. We are in the spring semester, even though right now it definitely doesn't feel springish anywhere. But we're moving right along into that and looking at finals and spring break and all the things that are coming. And so we're glad you're taking the time to spend this time with us and listen. If you're a first-time listener, welcome. If you've been with us for a while, we're glad you're sticking with us in the program. But we're excited to revisit a topic that we've had a couple times over our time on the air, and I'm excited about the things we're going to talk about today. I have three guests with me. They are all a part of ICAP or iSEE, and we'll explain what those are in a moment. But the first guest is Miriam Keep. She is the Sustainability Programs Coordinator for the Institute of Sustainability, Energy, and Environment, which is iSEE. Miriam, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Next up, we have Catherine Bruce. She's a junior studying environmental sustainability and communication. She is the ICAP clerk and Student Sustainability Committee board member. So, Catherine, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And rounding out our trio is Adrika Vatz. She's a sophomore studying mechanical engineering, and she is also an energy clerk for ICAP. Thanks for being here, Adrika.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
So if you follow the program for a while, you may have heard us talk about sustainability in iSEE before. If you go back through our archive, we actually have episodes 39 and 74 that you can go listen. And I encourage you to do that because there's other aspects of this conversation that will come from those episodes. But we wanted to revisit the conversation and kind of get some updates on what's going on and really focused around the climate commitment that the university signed. That commitment is to be carbon neutral as soon as possible and no later than 2050. And if you go to those other episodes, you will hear some of that conversation. But the roadmap to reach that goal of carbon neutral is called the Climate Action Plan, or ICAP. So if you hear us talk about ICAP, that's what it is. When I talk about an ICAP clerk, they're involved in that. And so that's what it is. But in the prep, one of the things that was mentioned is it's definitely not a static plan. It's put forth, but it needs updating as we go, as we learn some things, as we try some things. And actually, it's getting ready to be updated in 2025, I believe, because it's updated every 5 years. So it's actually due this year for the next update. So let's just begin the conversation about ICAP and some of the strides that have been made in the past few years, and maybe where there's an opportunity to make some more progress. So would you share a little bit about that journey and what's been going on?
Sure, I can get started. We've made some really major strides since signing the climate commitment back in 2008. We launched our first climate action plan back in 2010, so we've made several updates since then. But we've seen the university take major action to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. So greenhouse gas emissions have declined by almost 40% since we signed that climate commitment, and that's due to a whole variety of actions and programs that have been undertaken. So some of the most significant have been major energy conservation programs, doing recommissioning and maintenance on some of our older buildings to improve energy efficiency on campus, doing behavior change campaigns to have all different members of our campus community take action to reduce the amount of energy that they're using on a regular basis. And then also switching to some more renewable forms of energy. So quite significantly, we have 2 solar farms on campus that provide some of the electricity that we're using. We also purchase clean wind power to supply some of our electricity. And are switching to geothermal systems in some of our newer buildings. So these are some really big changes, and we're trying to continue to build on that progress as we move forward into the next ICAP 2025.
One of the things that was mentioned in the prep, I don't remember exactly who said it, was the idea of solar rooftops. Would you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the aspect of this transition that particularly excites me because I am very interested in renewable energy. So that's one of the things that the Energy ICAP team is working on, is installing more solar rooftops on buildings on campus, right? And so what we're working on right now is just identifying suitable candidates for that process. There are a lot of different aspects that come into play, before you can install a solar rooftop structurally and just, surrounding wise as well, making sure that the building isn't, shaded so that there is no solar energy reaching it. So that's something that the ICAP energy team is working on. We're doing a lot of research on that, and we're also trying to get a lot of simulations and calculations done to see, what would be the best option. Yep.
And so I want to come back for a minute to the some of the team aspect, and we'll ask a question on that. But before we do, so we've given the update on the ICAP where it's at and kind of the progress that's been made. We talked about solar rooftops. Are there any other major focuses that you're looking for as far as progress to be done or updates to 2025, updates to the plan to focus on some opportunities that maybe haven't been looked at up to this point?
Sure. So the ICAP is divided into a few different major themes. And so energy is one of those, but we also look at different areas such as transportation, land and water, zero waste, and then education and engagement. And so Catherine is here representing our ICAP education team and our initiatives in the education space.
Yeah, I can totally speak a little bit to that. On the education team, we are really looking forward to and looking for ways to incorporate a general education requirement in sustainability, or making that an option, so we can introduce students who are in like business, engineering, other departments, to get them that sustainability, get them comfortable with that language and really have an understanding of what it means, because it applies to all of the fields that they will go into. So going into the 2025 plan, we're looking forward to doing stuff with that as well.
So you've Catherine and Enrique, you've both mentioned teams. Yeah. So just share briefly about what those teams are. How are they formed? Who's on them? Just, because you hear teams, but it's really, I don't have any context on what that means, and having two students on them intrigues me. So would you share a little about what those are and kind of how they get formed?
I can start with that. Like Miriam said, there are different categories of teams. I mostly work with the engagement and the education teams. And how that works is like there's a clerk on every team. So I'm the clerk for the education team. Adrika's the clerk for the energy team. So all the clerks are students, and every team will have a chair that's a faculty member from campus-wide. We get people from the business departments, engineering departments, iSEE themselves, a wide range. And they also have team members that are faculty ranging in various departments, and we all kind of come together. And I'm proud to say the education team has like the most student engagement. We have like 5 members of our team that are students that Miriam finds, or they reach out to her. She'll go hunting for people and find students that are interested in it and are really unique skill sets that they bring and perspectives. We all meet together monthly to discuss our ideas and kind of divvy up the work on what we can do.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I think what makes ICAP teams really unique is the fact that you have such a unique mix of faculty and students, and you have that, conversation going on, which is, having that connecting the students to faculty members, and then having those discussions that, ultimately impact our campus, which I personally think is the best part of, being involved in ICAP and being a part of the team.
So usually at the end of the episode, I ask about, getting involved and how people can contact you. But I'm going to kind of, we're going to rearrange here a little bit today. It's because you're talking about student involvement and student engagement. If somebody's listening, they're like, I want to know more, I might want to be involved in this. How do they go about doing that? Or how did you come to be a part of the team? Is there a process? Is there an interview process, that sort of thing? How does somebody, if they want to be involved, what do they do next?
Okay, I can kind of speak to my experience on how I joined the team. I was actually one of the first clerk that was selected for like our round of students that we have right now. I found out about iSEE because I went to the Green Career Forum, but it's just like a career fair event, and I went up to iSEE's table and I met the person who's my chair currently on the team, and I just gave them my resume, and then it ended up in Miriam's hands. So I kind of found them, but I think Miriam also could talk about how she finds people, but it's a unique process.
Sure. So I think that was a pretty good summary. Students can get involved in a variety of different ways. And for those who are interested in being on the ICAP teams, so we do have this student clerk role, which are formal positions with iSEE, and these are students who commit to working with the teams and providing some administrative support to help keep the team on track. And so we do usually we'll open applications for that role every spring, and those can be found on the virtual job board on campus. But there are also opportunities for students to get involved on the teams just as members. And that does tend to be a combination of students finding out about us and reaching out and asking for ways they can get involved, and versus, as part of my role, I work with a lot of different student groups. speak to classes about the work that we're doing on campus and sustainability. And so sometimes I will connect with students that way to find students who are really interested and want to be part of those conversations and continue to get involved. Moving forward, we might put something up on the website, like an interest form for students who want to join those teams. But that's joining a team, I think, is a really great way to get involved and learn more about what really goes into making change on campus and what kind of process we have to follow and what are all the different considerations we have to keep in mind. So I think it can be a really great learning opportunity for students who are interested.
I'm going to come back to some of the groups and some of the opportunities to connect with that. But before we do, Catherine, you talked about you're part of the education team, and we know that a plan is only as good as the people who put it forth, or people who put it into practice, let's say, and that we can have a great plan here on campus, but if students aren't buying in, if they're not engaging, it's going to be harder to have an impact, right? And one of the things I loved about the prep work I saw is that somebody put it in there that that it's not just about infrastructure, but it's about daily things, right? It's not the big, huge, sweeping ideas that are good, but it's about daily, these little things that we can do daily that make an impact on sustainability and things like that. So if somebody's listening, they're like, I may not have time to do a team, I may not have time to be involved in a group in that way, but I want to be a part of this. What are some ways that students and faculty and staff can have an impact on sustainability on campus just in their daily routines?
Yeah, I think I'll start. I completely agree with you on that. I think we view climate change and global warming as such huge global issues, and I feel like everyone has the mindset that because it's such a global issue, you can only have global solutions, where large impact solutions. But I think people forget that those large impact solutions stem from individuals that come together unifying for a cause, right? And I think that's the main message that I'd like to send across, is that you can do things in your daily lives that can collectively lead to that larger impact. So one thing that the Energy ICAP team is working on is called Building Occupancy Program. It's a pilot program. It's in its initial stages. And what we're trying to do basically is have the occupants of the building really engage in the energy saving process, because the occupants are truly the people that use the building, right? So they are better able to identify potential energy leaks in the building. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to gather that data and then come up with strategies to reduce that. It's as simple as just fixing the temperature of the thermostat, or just, turning the lights off. Those tiny things really make an impact in the long run. And I think it's very important for students especially to have that awareness and just, think about that a little bit more. Yeah.
And I know iSEE has is working towards some education. I know that you have a newsletter that can be found that will have a lot of information in that. But you also mentioned that there is some work being done to incorporate sustainability into just classes, and is not making it a sustainability class, but it's being a part of other classes. Is that correct? Am I correct in following some of that? Would you share a little bit about how iSEE, and not going in depth, because I know this is just, you're kind of working on it, but just kind of give an idea of what you're shooting for?
Sure. Yes. So I guess I would like to perhaps back up and say that for those who are interested in learning about what are some of the actions that they can take in order to support sustainability on campus, I would encourage you to check out the Greener Campus certification programs that we have. You can find all the information about those on the iSEE website. We've worked in close partnership with facilities and services on campus to develop those. And so basically these are programs where different individual offices on campus, as well as chapters of fraternities and sororities, can apply for a green certified status by committing to take certain actions to conserve energy, reduce waste, encourage sustainable transportation. So those really provide a roadmap for how you can support sustainability and help to advance our efforts as part of the daily things you do every day on campus. There is also a green events program. So if you're planning an event, what are some things to keep in mind to make sure you are paying attention to the energy you're using during the event, making sure that we have the recycling infrastructure that we need and things like that. So those are a really great resource for those who want to get involved. And then to get back to supporting sustainability education, there's quite a lot going on in the education space, but part of what we aim to do, and really this is as part of our ICAP efforts as they are evolving, is provide opportunities for faculty on campus. We're hoping to build some kind of community of practice so that as faculty are working on incorporating sustainability into their classes and developing tools, that we can create sort of a bank of resources that would be available for other faculty to give them ideas for how they can incorporate sustainability into their classes as well, and provide lesson plans and tools and things they can use as part of that.
And I love that aspect because, again, going back to the idea of a global solution for a global issue, we tend to compartmentalize. Like, right now I'm doing sustainability stuff, but right now I'm doing class, and right now I'm doing this, and it's so interwoven that we need, if we understand that there's little things we can do in every aspect of our lives, like turning off the lights or using resources that are green and things like that. It really gives an opportunity to make an impact without make an impact that is continual through whatever we do through the day. So I love that aspect of it. You mentioned the green groups, and you mentioned some student groups and things like that. So before we do close, I do want to I want to go a little bit deeper into some of the ways students can get involved, some of the sustainable RSOs, some of the events you have. So would you share just a little bit about that, kind of give an overview of some other things students can look out for and things that can happen?
Yeah, I think I can speak to that. I'm actually co-president of the Student Sustainability Leadership Council, which we recently became an RSO. And basically our goal is that we view ourselves as the hub, and kind of that we want to be that central space for all green groups on campus. So every month we get together we invite all the leaders of all the kind of green or green affiliated RSOs on campus, and we meet all together in a room. We all share what we're doing, what are some events we have going on, how you can get involved with their group, and it's open to everybody too. So we have a bunch of people come that are just curious and they want to hear about it, and then we're able to connect them and give them the resources they need to get in contact with the things that interest them. And we also represent the student body when it comes to administrative things. So people come to us with concerns and things they want to see, and then we're able to bring that to faculty in meetings and discuss those issues in depth. Yeah. And then kind of lastly, for like events and stuff, our kind of big semester event that we're working on is called Sustainapalooza, and it's the U of I's Earth Day Festival. The first one was actually last year, so we're working on the second installment of that, and we're hoping to make it bigger, and it's just a whole quad event, and there's going to be food, live music, vendors, activities, many things, and the whole plan is to make it, a celebration of Earth and as little waste as possible, and kind of promoting sustainability in that way.
So with all these things, the events and the groups, is there a website somebody can check out, or social media? Like, how would somebody find out about these events, or how would they track them and kind of keep them on their radar?
Yeah, I will say the person that runs the Student Sustainability Leadership Council's Instagram does a fantastic job. And what we do is we repost and promote we follow every other like green group on campus. And if you follow our page, you'll just see like reposts of every single event happening on campus, like whether it's iSEE or student groups or any kind of event related to that, like a speaker event that might be happening. And so if you follow that Instagram page, you're pretty likely to be well kept up with kind of the green stuff happening on campus.
And what is that page?
UIUC _SSLC, I believe. I wrote it down.
we'll put that in the bio. Again, with everything, we'll have resources in the bio. You can just click on them and follow them. But I always like to give a shout out to them on air as well, to make sure that students have an opportunity to get involved in that. And from that also, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd love to add on. So before coming to UIUC, I had a very narrow mindset with sustainability. But after coming here, I realized there's so many different aspects to it. There's a policy aspect to it, which I was able to explore through the Environmental Leadership Program. So that's a program that iSEE offers to just learn more about the policy side of sustainability. I'm also involved with SSC. So through SSC, I've been able to learn a lot about some of the projects that happen on campus that are mostly student-led. So if anyone's interested just to know more, if they want to start something, you can just come to some of SSC's working group meetings and learn more about that. The engineering side of sustainability, you can explore through multiple RSOs. So I'm part of an RSO called Illinois Solar Decathlon, and we basically work on designing net zero buildings, which I think is really cool because I've been able to explore a lot of geothermal and HVAC aspects related to sustainability. So yeah, I think a good starting point would, at least for me, how I went about it in my freshman year was just checking out iSEE's website. There are a lot of good resources over there. So yeah, there's like a lot you can do with sustainability, and it's just a matter of exploring and being willing to step out of your comfort zone.
Like we said, everybody can have a part to play in sustainability, and it can be something drastic or it can be something simple that comes day to day, and it's whatever fits with your schedule, whatever fits with your ability to be involved. But we want you to be involved. We want you to ask questions, and so I encourage you again to reach out to ICAP, iSEE, click on the links in the bio, see how you can connect, see how what you can learn, and how you can implement that, and together we can all make a big part of moving towards that carbon neutrality in 2050. Together we can make our campus that much more sustainable, and that's just a wonderful thing that benefits everyone. And what is iSEE's website?
I believe the website is sustainability@illinois.edu. We also have a newsletter that comes out usually weekly, so you can sign up for the newsletter on our website. And we do have some social media accounts where we often follow and reshare information shared by others on campus, like the SSLC or SSC. So yeah, I'd encourage you to check us out there. I believe we are usually at Sustain Illinois and have a presence on Instagram, X, and LinkedIn.
And we have just barely broken the surface on the opportunities that are involved with the number of groups, the number of events, the number of ways that students can be involved in it. And it can be, I love that in the prep that you mentioned that it can be as much or as little time as you have available. It can be a big involvement of being a chair, of being active with the groups on that level, but it can also just be daily routine stuff that you can do. So I really encourage you, if you're listening, if you're like, how can I fit it into my schedule? How can I make it work in my time frames? Reach out, contact them, ask, because the iSEE, ICAP, they want to be there and they want to help. So, just click on those links in our bio and find out how you can be a part of this program. But I appreciate you all taking in the time to speak with us today, to share about it, and just share your passion on this. So thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you.